Have you ever just looked out the window of a plane and wondered what's really going on up in the cockpit? Well, it turns out every single flight is this high-stakes balancing act between time, physics, and of course cost. And it's all governed by a set of hidden rules designed to save an absolutely incredible amount of fuel. Because really, that's exactly what it is. It's a complex game played in real time at 35,000 feet. And every decision, from the speed of the climb to the exact altitude, it all directly impacts the airline's bottom line. And today, we're going to unlock that playbook. You know, it all starts with one fundamental trade-off. This is the big one. It's the decision that dictates the entire economic strategy of the flight before the plane even pushes back from the gate. And it's this constant battle between saving time versus saving fuel. So how do they manage that? Well, they use a tool called the cost index. The best way to think of it is like the flight's economic personality dial. It's just a number, usually somewhere between 0 and 99, that the pilots plug into the flight computer. And that single number, it's calculated by the airline weighing crew salaries, maintenance, the current price of jet fuel, the whole shebang. And it tells the plane its #1 priority: save fuel, save time, or find that perfect sweet spot right in between. And the results are, well, they're crystal clear. If an airline sets a really low cost index, we're talking close to 0, the computer's only goal is to sip fuel. The plane will fly slower, it'll take a bit longer, but it'll get maximum fuel savings. A budget airline might do this to keep those fares low. But on the other hand, with a high cost index, time is money. The plane flies faster, maybe to make up for a delay, burning way more fuel. A major carrier might do this to make sure their business travelers make their connections, because, you know, the cost of rebooking everyone is way higher than the cost of that extra fuel. So once that cost index is locked in, the mission begins. And the very first phase, the climb, it's not just about getting into the air. No, it's a race. It's a race to get to the most efficient part of the sky as fast as humanly possible. Pilots have two main strategies here. First, there's VX. That's the best angle of climb. Think of it like a really steep staircase. It's perfect for clearing a mountain right after takeoff. But for fuel efficiency, the undisputed champion is YY, the best rate of climb. This gets the plane to its cruising altitude in the shortest amount of time, which minimizes how long it has to fight through all that thick, drag-heavy air down low where the engines are just working their hardest. Okay, but hold on a second. You might be thinking logically, shouldn't a slower, more gentle takeoff save more fuel? I mean, it just makes sense, right? Well, here's one of those fantastic, completely counterintuitive truths of aviation. While a derated or a reduced power takeoff is great for extending the life of an engine, it's actually terrible for fuel economy. But why? Well, because the plane climbs more slowly, it spends more precious minutes stuck in that thick, fuel-guzzling lower atmosphere. So when fuel cost is king, a faster climb is always the winning move. All right, so we're airborne, now for the cruise. This is the longest part of the flight, and it's where the long-term efficiency game is really played. The art here is all about finding and staying in that perfect slice of the sky. And that perfect slice is called the optimal altitude. And listen, it's not a fixed height, it's a moving target. It is the ultimate sweet spot where the air is thin enough to minimize drag, but it's still thick enough to provide lift without making the engines work overtime. It's a delicate balance. And flying below that optimal altitude isn't just a small mistake. It's a costly one. We're talking about a long-haul flight here. Being just a few thousand feet too low means burning hundreds of extra kilograms of fuel. That is a direct hit to the airline's profitability, all for being in the wrong place in the sky. The physics behind it are actually pretty simple. Denser air creates more aerodynamic drag. It's kind of like trying to run through water versus running through air. To maintain the exact same speed in that thicker, lower air, the engines just have to produce more thrust, and that means burning more fuel. Simple as that. So, how do pilots stay in that constantly moving sweet spot? The answer is this really brilliant technique called step climbs. See, as the plane burns fuel, it gets lighter. And a lighter plane is more efficient at a higher altitude. So they don't just stay at one level for the whole trip. Here's how it works. The flight starts its cruise, totally heavy with fuel, at its first optimal altitude. Then, after burning off maybe tens of thousands of pounds of fuel, it's now light enough to step up to a new, higher, and more efficient level. On a really long flight, say across the ocean, the pilots might do this 2 or even 3 times, constantly chasing that peak efficiency. But altitude is only half the battle. The final layer of this whole strategic game is managing speed, especially when you have to deal with one of nature's biggest challenges, the wind. When it comes to speed, pilots basically have two main options. There's max range cruise, or MRC. That's theoretical perfection, the absolute exact speed for maximum distance. But it's super finicky and hard to maintain. And that's why most airlines choose long-range cruise, or LRC. It gives you 99% of the maximum range, but it's faster, more stable, and frankly, just easier on the crew. It's the practical, strategic choice. Okay, so let's throw a problem into the mix. Imagine you're flying directly into a massive 100-mile-per-hour headwind. Your speed over the ground is just getting crushed. What's the fuel-efficient move here? You slow down to save fuel, right? Nope, wrong again. The solution, once again, is totally counterintuitive. You speed up. You actually tell the plane to fly faster into the wind. I know, it sounds crazy, but here's the logic. A headwind absolutely destroys your ground efficiency. Now, yes, speeding up does burn more fuel per hour, but, and this is the crucial part, it dramatically reduces the amount of time you spend fighting that wind. That time savings is so significant that you actually burn less fuel over the entire trip. You're trading a higher burn rate for a much shorter flight, and in the end, you come out way ahead. So when you put all these pieces together, the cost index, the climb, the altitude, and the speed, what you get is a clear and really powerful strategy for flying smart. It all boils down to 4 key rules. Rule 1, manage the cost index dynamically. Rule 2, prioritize a fast VY climb to get out of that thick lower air. 3, use step climbs to stay efficient as the plane gets lighter. And number 4, default to long-range cruise, but strategically speed up when you're flying into a headwind. This stuff isn't just theory. These are the precise, calculated decisions being made on every single flight to optimize a massive global system. So the next time you're in the air, you'll know that your journey is this carefully choreographed dance between physics and economics. I mean, think about it. We've optimized climbs, cruises, and speeds right down to the last kilogram of fuel. It really makes you wonder, with conventional aircraft pushed to the absolute peak of their efficiency, what does the next great breakthrough in aviation even look like?